Jen, that's good. After learning about Xianxia's current situation, Yang put down his heart. How could Sect Master Yang appear here? Mo Yu looked at Yang Kai suspiciously. My luck is bad. Yang Kai gave a wry smile, and briefly said what happened after he came out. Ji Jen and Mo Yu were also deeply moved. Speaking of it, Mo Yu, Ji Jen and others had good luck when they came out of the Emperor Garden. They happened to appear near Clean Sky Sect. So they returned to the sect without much effort. This trip to the Emperor Garden is really unexpected. I didn't expect this forbidden area is for the entire star territory, and my shadowed star also suffered heavy losses. Ji Jen sighed deeply. Oh. I don't know which forces have suffered losses. Yang Kai suddenly became interested. I don't dare to be too sure for the time being, but the old man has been inquiring about the news since he came back. It is said that the Great Elder and Sect Master of the Demon Blood Sect has fallen in the Emperor Garden. Yang Kai nodded lightly, his expression is calm. The two people of Demon Blood cult were killed by him, and of course he knew better than anyone else. Ji Jen and the others didn't see any clues. They only thought that the two powerhouses of the Demon Blood Sect would fall only when they met the masters of other cultivation stars in the Emperor Garden, and continued. In addition to them, there are also Cheng Pingxuan, the Great Elder of Thunder Typhoon Sect, who also fell. Mo Xiaosheng of the Battle Sky Union was badly injured but escaped a catastrophe. Gongxing of the Colored Glass Sect was not able to return, and other forces were more or less alive with some losses. It's lucky for my Clean Sky Sect to be safe and sound. Even Chang Pingxuan and Gongxing are also dead? Yang Kai was shocked. Yes. The news hasn't spread, but it's true. Ji Jen nodded his head. Yang Kai didn't doubt it. Between these big forces, he would place chess pieces in the opponent's sight to find out some news. What about Shadow Moon Palace? How about Qiantong and Fei Jitu, Wei Guchang and others? Yang Kai asked nervously. Sect Master Yang doesn't need to be nervous, they are all right. Mo Yu smiled slightly. The old ghost Qian is very shrewd. They didn't go deep into the Emperor Garden at all this trip. They just explored outside. That's the case. Yang Kai couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. He is also impressed by Qiantong's caution. Qiantong cannot be said to be courageous. It is estimated that without Wei Guchang present at the time, he and Fei Jitu would certainly not miss the opportunity to go deep into the Emperor Garden. But it won't work well with Wei Guchang around. The reason for not going deep inside the Emperor Garden must also be considered for Wei Guchang. It is precisely because of this caution that Qiantong and others avoid the possibility of loss. Even the strong like Cheng Pingxuan and Gongxing fell inside it. No matter how strong the Qiantong and Fei Jitu is, it is possible to suffer the same fate. The opening of the Emperor Garden this time bring many people a huge gain, but it also caused many sects to suffer heavy losses. Before entering it, no one would have thought that this time the Emperor Garden would be so dangerous. If they knew it earlier, there would not be so many people rushing to it. Compared with other cultivation stars, my shadowed star is still quite different. Although it's because of the laws of heaven and earth, it suppresses the mystery of the Void King realm so that we cannot spy it, so we can only explore the realm of void return stage to the extreme. But after all, there is no guidance from the strong of Void King realm. The artifacts and spirit pills are all inferior to the outsiders, and there is always a feeling of restraint when fighting with those people. Ji Jen sighed. Yeah, if my shadowed star can also give birth to a Void King realm powerhouse, this situation probably won't happen. Mo Yu also nodded in agreement. That being said, how easy is it to be promoted to the Void King realm? Luzon looked sad, and slowly shook his head. In these tens of thousands of years, my shadowed star has never given birth to a strong Void King realm. The last time I heard, in flowing flame sand, a red candle fruit appeared. As far as I know, although Don Piffles of Floating Mist Palace got a red candle fruit and swallowed it, he had no gain and wasted the good spirit fruit. Not only Don Piffle's colored glass sect also got a piece of red candle fruit at the time, Gongxing also swallowed and refined it, and it still had no effect, otherwise he would not fall this time. Actually, it is not impossible to break through to the Void King realm. Mo Yu seemed thoughtful. Shadowed Star is suppressed by the laws of heaven and earth, but as long as we can leave Shadowed Star and go to other cultivation stars, naturally we will have the opportunity to break through to the Void King realm. Upon hearing this, both Jiyu Zhen and Luzon's expressions were shocked. Yang Kai glanced at the three of them, and suddenly left. Three seniors, if you have something to say, just say it directly. There is no need to beat around the bush. Yang Kai was so straightforward that Mo Yu and the others were embarrassed. After a long while, Mo Yu coughed slightly. This is Yang Kai. I actually want to ask if you have the idea to use your noble sect Void King grade warship to take a long journey outside the world. As expected, Yang Kai smiled. He just heard the three of them talking about the Void King realm just now, and he had guessed it. Now, after some test, he immediately understood the three people's plans. They obviously intended to set up a sailboat, leave the Shadowed Star, and go to other cultivation stars to explore the mystery of the Void King realm. This is also human nature. If I say, have this idea? Yang Kai smiled slightly. All three of Jiyu Zhen's expressions shook their faces, looking at each other. Not only do I have this idea, but I might do it in the near future. Yang Kai said astonishingly. Do you really mean this? Mo Yu stood up in a hurry. Jiyu Zhen and Luzon were equally excited. Really? Yang Kai nodded sternly. Great, great. Mo Yu murmured, suddenly rubbing his big hands, and looking at Yang Kai. Sect Master Yang, this is the end of the story, and Mo is not going to beat around the bush. Dared ask, in that warship how many people can you take? Dozens of people should be fine. Mo Yu's eyes lit up, gritted his teeth, and said in a deep voice, let me take up to. No, one quota for Clean Sky Sect. On the other side, Jiyu Zhen and Luxian also looked over expectantly. Jiyu Zhen said, of course, we won't occupy this precious spot in vain. We can pay the corresponding price. One is enough? Yang Kai looked at them with some surprise. Enough. Jiyu Zhen nodded, if possible. Of course, we also hope that more people will leave the Shadowed Star, but if all the masters go, Clean Sky Sect will be an easy target. Not to mention, the promotion of the Void King realm is not so easy. It is enough to have one person to try it. If this is the case, then I can agree. Yang Kai nodded slightly. Hearing that, the three of Clean Sky Sect were overjoyed. As for who the quota will be given, it is a headache for Clean Sky Sect, and Yang Kai doesn't need to bother. Afterwards, Yang Kai told them that when he really wanted to use the warship to leave the Shadowed Star, he would send a letter to inform them, and let them wait patiently. The three naturally had no objection. There was no word for a night, and until the next day, Yang Kai took Huang Wan and Lin Yunair to say farewell to Clean Sky Sect. Although Jiyu Zhen and the others were willing to have them stay longer, they knew that Yang Kai had just left the Emperor Garden and had a lot to do, so they didn't stop them, and personally sent him to the location of the Black Ink Sea City Space Law Formation. Yang Kai's next destination is Demon Blood City. Demon Blood City is a city controlled by Demon Blood cult not far from Flowing Flame Sand Field. When Yang Kai came out of the Flowing Flame Sands, he encountered Demon Blood Sect disciple Deng Ning at the edge to obtain the Demon Blood Thread secret art. Then Deng Ning took it and rushed to the Demon Blood City. There was nothing wrong with the choice of this route, but Jiyu Zhen told him that the Demon Blood City might be a little uneasy now, so he was careful along the way. The Devil Blood City is indeed not peaceful. When the three of Yang Kai and his party teleported from Black Ink Sea City's Space Law Formation to Demon Blood City, they immediately noticed that the city seemed to be a little turbulent, and many people were fighting. The Great Elder of the Demon Blood Sect fell in the Emperor Garden together with the leader. Now that no one controls the power in the sect, those elders are naturally fighting for it. The Demon Blood Sect was originally a force that liked infighting. For this reason, the entire Demon Blood sect had been turbulent at this moment, and the Demon Blood city had also become extremely chaotic. Even the main hall where the Space Law Formation is located is unguarded. All the disciples of the Demon Blood sect have been involved in this, and the city is constantly performing wonderful scenes of killing and being killed. After arriving in the Demon Blood city, Xianxia opened up his spiritual mind and quickly grasped the battle situation in the city. He didn't have the intention to be afraid. He turned the Xianxia around, wrapped Huang Wan and Lin Yunair, and flew all the way outside the city. There were people blocking along the road, and they all became the souls to be reaped by Xianxia. With his current strength, even if he encounters the third order void return stage, he is not afraid at all, let alone those cats and dogs. Soon, the disciples of the Demon Blood sect realized Xianxia's tyranny, and no one dared to stop him. What's more, Xianxia hurriedly came and went, seeing a passing powerhouse, who would have nothing to do and dare to stop him? Isn't that seeking a dead end? So before and after less than 10 breaths of effort, Xianxia had left the Demon Blood city with Huang Wan and Lin Yunair and went straight to Flowing Flame Sandfield 100,000 miles away. One day later, Xianxia found a beautiful palace somewhere outside Flowing Flame Sandfield and rushed in directly. This palace was also the first time that Xianxia entered. It belongs to the High Heaven Sect. There is a space law formation in the palace, which Yang Yan specially arranged to facilitate the entrance and exit of the High Heaven Sect disciples. After all, Flowing Flame Sandfield occupies too much area. If you only rely on flying, it will take at least a day or two to reach the general rudder of the High Heaven Sect from here. With this special space law formation, it is different. He can come and go freely. At this moment, there are only 2 High Heaven Sect disciples on duty in the palace, and their cultivation is not worth mentioning. They only have third order saint stage. Such strength is not a big deal in Shadowed Star, but now the High Sky Sect's reputation is as high as the sky. No one dared to stroke the tiger's beard, so there is no need to worry about safety when on duty here, and there are large formations arranged by Yang Yan around the palace. If there is an attempt to invade the High Heaven Sect with the help of the Space Law Formation here, it will be blocked by the large formation. The disciples on duty have plenty of time to destroy the Space Law Formation. To be continued. With the help of the Space Law Formation outside Flowing Flame Sandfield, Xianxia easily reached the general rudder of High Heaven Sect. When they appeared in the palace on the other side, several disciples on duty were ready to defend in an instant. After seeing that Xianxia had returned, they were overjoyed and hurriedly bowed to salute. Have Yang Yan and Elder Yi come back? Xianxia hurriedly asked. Back to Sect Master, Vice Sect Master Yang and Elder Yi had returned 5 days ago. A disciple who seemed more clever replied quickly. Xianxia couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. Although he felt that Yang Yan and Yixian shouldn't have any trouble, they were always a little worried before he got the specific news. Now that he knows they have returned safely, he naturally let go of that worry. It's just that when she returned, Vice Sect Master Yang seemed to be in a coma, and she was carried back by the Great Elder. The disciple added another cautiously. What? Xianxia was shocked, and asked a few more questions carefully, but even if the disciple were asked with questions, he didn't know what kind of trauma Yang Yan suffered to cause it, and whether there were any major problems. It's none of your business. Keep guarding here. Xianxia had no choice but to leave this place quickly and head straight to the Beiwa where Yang Yan lived before. On the way, Wu Yi and Qianyu greeted them. Obviously they had received news that Xianxia had returned. The anxious expression on the 2 women's faces was obvious, and they called out anxiously after seeing Xianxia. I heard a little bit about the situation. Do you know how Yang Yan was injured? Is the injury serious? Xianxia came to them and asked. Both the women shook their heads constantly. Qianyu said, since she came back, the Great Elder hasn't shown up in front of others, and we can't inquire about the news. Don't be restless, I'll go see it myself. Xianxia frowned. They are not in Beiwa now. Wu Yi quickly grabbed Xianxia. Then where are they? Yang Kai looked stunned. On the 6th floor. The 6th floor. Yang Kai frowned even more. He naturally knew what the 6th floor was referring to. It's nothing more than the most center of flowing flame sand field, where the small bamboo building was originally supposed to be the place where the great emperor was cleansed. But now what are they doing on the 6th floor? Is the great emperor really awake? Yang Kai suddenly felt a sense of anxiety. Standing on the spot for a while, Yang Kai took a deep breath and said, "I'll go and take a look. By the way, foreign elder Huang should be familiar to you. This time I met her by chance on the way back and invited her to join the High Heaven Sect. Now she is also a member of the sect. You can arrange it." "Yes." Wu Yi nodded quickly. She saw Huang Wan just now, but she was concerned about Yang Yan's safety. There is no time to say hello to her, and now after listening to Yang Kai's instructions, she is naturally obliged to accept it. Yang Kai had already shaken his figure, disappeared in place, and went straight to the 6th floor. The location of High Heaven Sect is on the 4th floor of Flowing Flame Sand Field, and there is a layer of blazing area between the 6th floor, and it is the most powerful one. However, Yang Kai has the Star Emperor token to protect him, so he doesn't need to worry about anything. It only took half a day before and after that, and he arrived in front of the bamboo building on the 6th floor. It seems that she knows that Yang Kai will come see her. Yi Xian was already waiting in front of the bamboo building. After seeing Yang Kai, a complex color flashed in her beautiful eyes, and she said, "The subordinates have seen the sect master. Yang Yan is inside?" Yang Kai asked as he walked inward. Didn't expect that. Yi Xian actually swayed. Blocked directly in front of Yang Kai, as if not letting him approach. "What do you mean by this?" Yang Kai narrowed his eyes and stared at Yi Xian deeply, with an unkind look on his face. "Sect master, forgive me, my lord ordered. She doesn't want to see anyone right now." Yi Xian replied neither humbly nor arrogantly. "Not even me?" Yang Kai frowned. "Yes." Yi Xian nodded slightly. "The subordinates are only executing the orders of the Lord, and please don't embarrass them." "Make you embarrassed?" Yang Kai laughed dumbly. "It's interesting. I went to see her. What embarrass you? It's not that I haven't seen it before." "Sect master, please forgive me." Yi Xian stubbornly blocked the front. Yang Kai frowned. Staring at her indifferently, he asked in a deep voice, "Since Yang Yan can give you orders, can it be said that she is fine?" "But why did the disciple below say that she was in a coma when she came back? Was it you who took her back?" "Yes, my lord is indeed in a coma, but it doesn't matter, it's just..." "Just what?" Yi Zhaijun fell silent, looking embarrassed. While observing her, Yang Kai moved his head and squinted his eyes. "I only ask one question. Please also ask the great elder to answer honestly. Don't hide anything." "Sect master, please." Yi Xian raised her head and stroked the hair around her ear. "The one in the bamboo building, is it the Yang Yan I know, or yours?" "Both." A wry smile appeared on Yi Xian's face. "I understand." Yang Kai nodded lightly, with a clear expression on his face. "I see, it turns out that it is such a thing to wake up the emperor. I understand." Yang Yan said before that the day the emperor garden was opened was when the great emperor was awakened. Although Yang Kai was a little puzzled and suspicious, he did not ask carefully, or was subconsciously afraid to ask about the specific process, for fear of getting the answer that he doesn't want to hear. He had already guessed. Today, this speculation has obviously been confirmed. The great emperor as the main body has already awakened, and Yang Yan as the spirit clone naturally cannot exist alone. The two have been merged into one, so Yi Xian has such an answer. The sect master is a wise man. He should understand what the situation is right now. Yi Xian looked at him indifferently. "Understood. I just want to know what will happen to Yang Yan. She is the great emperor, and the great emperor is also her, so she won't be anything else." Yang Kai nodded lightly, and things were finally not bad enough to make him unable to accept. Although this result was not the best, it was not the worst. Thinking of this, Xianxia closed his eyes, unleashing his spiritual mind and leaning into the bamboo building to see what Yang Yan was doing at the moment. Yixian opened her mouth but finally did not stop. Spiritual mind easily pierced through the obstacles of the bamboo building, and soon found Yang Yan in a room on the 3rd floor. At the moment, she was lying quietly on a bamboo bed, motionless, as if falling asleep. The appearance is no different from the Yang Yan in his own impression, but the temperament is completely different. Spiritual mind swept through. Xianxia actually had a frightened feeling, as if he, as an ant, was spying on the sleeping dragon recklessly. In an instant, Xianxia's spirit shuddered, and an inexplicable sense of crisis emerged from the bottom of his heart. Next moment, there was pain like being torn in his mind. Xianxia opened his eyes, his body involuntarily moved back, his face extremely pale. Sect Master, are you okay? Yixian's face changed color. No problem. Xianxia waved his hand, his face was full of lingering fears. Is this the Emperor prestige? Even in deep sleep, no one is allowed to violate it. Xianxia finally experienced it personally. If she is awake, how mighty is she? Xianxia's mood was ups and downs for a while, his eyes gleaming, a look of yearning. After a while, the mood calmed down, rubbing his temples, and asked, did she say when she will wake up? The Lord has fallen asleep for too long. Tens of thousands of years have passed, so awakening is also a very long process. Only when the soul and the body are fully integrated will she really wake up. It may only take more than 10 or 20 years. Or maybe 10 to 100 years, the subordinates can't tell. So long. Xianxia frowned slightly. Yes. Yi Zhaijin nodded slightly. My lord told me before to let me assist the sect master with all their strength, so if the sect master has any instructions, please do not hesitate to speak up. The subordinates must do so. Yang Yan ordered. Xianxia's heart was warmed, wondering if he saw Yixian this time. She talked to him as his subordinate. She had never done this before. It turns out that there is another reason. There is nothing for you to do for the time being. You can take care of Yang Yan here. Yes, the subordinates will live up to their entrustment. The sect master can go slowly. Yixian gave a slight bow. She unexpectedly issued a eviction order. Xianxia's words were chucked by her, and he went away with a look of resentment. In any case, it is now determined that Yang Yan is not dangerous. Although as a spirit clone that has been integrated with the great emperor's body, her memories and emotions will not be erased, and will only be inherited by this sleeping body. That's enough. Now he may not have the qualifications to have an equal dialogue with the emperor, but one day, he can stand at her height, and then he can live peacefully with Yang Yan as usual. Xianxia ignited a burst of ambition. It has been a day after returning to the general rudder of the High Heaven sect again. Everything in the sect is as usual, but the arrival of Huang Wan makes Wu Yi, Changqi, Howen and the others happy, and Lin Yunair, who is a little kid, has gained the acknowledgement and love of the High Heaven sect members. The arrival of the little girl gave the inner sect more laughter, and after a brief familiarity, Lin Yunair immediately fell in love with this beautiful place. Everyone here treats her very well. Taking care of her like a loved one made little Lin Yunair feel the warmth of a long-lost home, and gradually let go of her courage. You can often see her wearing beautiful new clothes, jumping up and down the sect like a madman, running around. Huang Wan was panting tired after chasing her. Heaven 1 Palace, Xianxia's training place. In the wing room, Xianxia closed his eyes and meditated cross-legged. He has been in this state for half a month. When he spied Yang Yan with his spiritual mind in the bamboo building, he was deterred by the invisible emperor prestige and shocked. A flaw was left in the mind. This kind of flaw is usually inconspicuous and nothing will not happen, but if he encounter a powerful enemy, it will definitely affect Xianxia's performance. Therefore, after Xianxia returned to the sect main palace, the first thing to do was to smooth out this flaw. To be continued.